In today's video, Gavin Newsom suffers a stunning embarrassment as Morning Joe trashes his strategy. Secondly, a major retailer is deciding to skip out on the state of California, and there's a huge update regarding the crime in D.C. In all of these stories, we'll show you what both sides are saying and give you the bottom line.
Like, you're trying to do everything to distract the American people from the fact that you're screwing up on job one. And job one is helping working Americans and helping the middle class afford their lives and build a life where their children are going to live better than them. That's the American dream. And you have done nothing but play politics over the past year and a half. It's really not that hard to do.
We'll see.
It's really not. Cut and paste. It's really not hard to do. And I would be telling the Republicans the same thing if Democrats were off over here. It's not hard, but I don't know why they, like Gavin Newsom, he wants to own Donald Trump. He wants to be Donald Trump light. You can't be Donald Trump light. Hey, Gavin, talk into the camera and talk about making life more affordable, not only for people in California, but if you want to talk about people in New Hampshire, our people in Iowa, our people in South Carolina, they would like to know how their lives can be more affordable. Not how you can own Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not running again. These Democrats, who I have called Chuck Wepner instead of Muhammad Ali, Chuck Wepners, they're the ones that are running again. They're the ones that are in the boxing ring with Democrats, not Donald Trump.
Okay, let's just understand something right up front. Number one, Gavin Newsom has totally bailed on being the governor of California. There's no question about it. He's more obsessed with President Trump. He's more obsessed with mocking the president. I guess he believes in his mind that he's going to get results with this. I don't believe he will because it's not authentic. We're going to get to this shortly. Secondly, there's no way he's going to sell the American voter on the idea that he can lower costs when we know what he did to California. That's why millions have moved away. Okay. And number three, as you guys see on the screen here, he currently sits, according to YouGov, at a 39% unfavorable rating. So he's not really as popular as it may look on social media. Now, here is CNN actually disagreeing with what I just said. Take a listen.
The key question, has this actually been working for Newsom?
Yeah, I think it absolutely has been working in terms of generating attention, which is what he's trying to do, right? I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look right at the @GovPress office followers on X. That's, of course, where you get those sort of the account where Newsom posts those Trump-style mocking types of tweets. Get this. That account, get this, up 450% in terms of the number of followers since mid-June. And it's not just on Twitter, X, where Newsom is gaining. Even on TikTok and Instagram, his followers are up over 1 million since January alone. My goodness gracious. And more than that, Laura, more than that, what about Google? What about those Google searches for him? Get this, daily Google searches for Gavin Newsom up like a rocket. What are we talking about? Since June 1, up 1,300%. Compared to August 1st, look at that, up 500%. So the bottom line is, in politics, especially if you're thinking of entering in 2028, it's all about generating attention. And so far, Gavin Newsom has done a good job at generating attention.
Now, as a disclaimer, I've never won an election myself. But I am an entrepreneur and I understand some fundamental principles to sales. Step one, you do need to get attention. So as far as we are concerned, I do agree with CNN. Newsom has been doing a good job of that. But step 2 and 3 is where he goes wrong. Step 2 is you got to get people interested in what you have to say. And what you have to say has to be about them. They got to feel like you understand their problem. Everybody knows Newsom does not understand our problems. Let's just be honest about it. And number 3, you have to offer something better than what currently exists right now. And he has no solutions whatsoever. His solutions would be driving up costs. And as Joe Scarborough said earlier, he should be talking about lowering costs and affordability. Gavin Newsom is the last person who should be talking about that. Now, let's take a step back and show you an example of how detrimental California not only has been to its citizens, but to business owners. It was announced earlier today that the Bed Bath & Beyond is making a comeback and they're skipping out on the state of California. Take a listen.
Marcus Lemonis is the executive chairman of the company and host of The Fixer on Fox Business. He was sitting here yesterday. He's there today. Yeah. You got a huge announcement. Okay, you're not going to open stores in a certain locale, Marcus, and I want to know why.
we've made the decision to, as we start to open up stores again, and we're planning on opening 300 over the next 24 months, we've made the decision to not open in the state of California. And while it was a big place for business in the past for Bed Bath & Beyond, when you look at the complexity, both on the real estate side, on the regulatory side, both on the product and the employee side, it's just too cost prohibitive to do it. And at some point, some business needs to take a stand and remind the state of California that while they keep reminding us that they're the fourth largest economy in the world, that's going to dissipate over time. So we are just going to serve those customers with our online business.
Yeah, see, this reminds me of my main issue with Gavin Newsom, and I think I'm repeating myself at this point. He's more obsessed with mocking the president than he is actually doing the job he was elected to do. That's what the results show. We know California is the #1 state that lost the most people. We also know California is the #1 state that has lost the most businesses. That's why you just heard Bed Bath & Beyond in their own comeback, they're going to skip out on California. That's a big deal. Now, let me just take you down memory lane, because there are people who are delusional who will argue with you over this. Chevron, Tesla, Oracle, CBRE, real estate company, Charles Schwab, Hewlett-Packard, Planter Technologies, FICO, SpaceX, Twitter, Realtor.com, and also In-N-Out Burger, which is going to relocate their headquarters to Tennessee. But the names before that all left California. What does that tell you? There's a problem here, okay? That's what it tells you. Now, of course, people in Congress don't understand that, especially the representatives from California. They're still singing the same tune as Gavin Newsom. In fact, they're egging him on. Take a look.
He's mirroring and reflecting what Donald Trump is doing. So to ask the country, is this who you want as your leader? Somebody who debases us and reduces the dialogue. And yes, I mean, it's silly, it's cheeky, but it also is going on offense. And something Gavin Newsom has done in the cases he's brought on immigration and the redistricting move that he's doing to level the playing field against the crooked way that Texas is trying to fix their maps, it's making Donald Trump react. And I think you can either be on your heels reacting to Donald Trump as he goes after the most vulnerable, or you can put him on his. And there's not many leaders right now, I think, on our side who are stepping up and going on offense, and Gavin Newsom is.
Okay, so this is serious right here. If you're stressed about back taxes because you missed the filing deadline back in April, don't wait. We know that the penalties are continuing to rise. They could be 5%, even up to 25%. This is why we partnered with Tax Network USA. They can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They've helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee or business owner, with messy books, no problem. They've seen it all and they know exactly how to help you. With direct access to the powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators, they can even reduce what you owe or even eliminate it. And the best part is, it all starts with a free consultation to see if you qualify. More importantly, they can protect you from wage garnishments or even bank levies. So don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Devore to talk to a real expert at Tax Network USA. Again, you could call them at 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Devore. Again, Democrats are making a fatal mistake. They have crafted their entire identity around President Trump. But there's really one glaring problem with that. He's not running in 2026 and he's not running in 2028. So you mean to tell me that standing up to President Trump is exactly what the party needs right now? No, what you guys need is a reality check. You need to look in the mirror and rethink your messaging for 2028, because this ain't it. Now, I'm not in the business of giving Democrats advice, but I'm telling you right now, authenticity is king. This is not being authentic. This is actually being a part of the problem with politics and what's caused our country to become so divisive. Now, speaking of that, here is a poll proving what Democrats have done to their own party. Take a look.
Do Democrats want it? Okay, do Democrats want it? This, I think, is the trend line that I think says it all. Democrats want their leaders to what? Try to stop the GOP or work with the GOP? You go back to 2017, you see here, work with the GOP took the cake at 74% compared to just 23% who said to try and stop the GOP. But now I'm going to come over to your side of the screen, Laura. Look at 2025. I'm coming as close as I can. 57% say they want the Democratic leaders to try and stop the GOP, compared to just 42% who say they want them to work with the GOP. That is a major shift. What are we talking about here? Some quick math up here is 34% rise in terms of the percentage of Democrats who want their leaders to try and stop the GOP. So no wonder Gavin Newsom, he's looking at this polling. He's saying, I can generate attention. This is where the Democratic base is. And right now he seems to be following the Democratic base.
Yeah, see, that number really inspires me to continue to do this show. I believe in my heart of hearts that we are encouraging people to learn how to disagree again. Also getting used to hearing both sides of an issue. Now, as you guys know, I'm a conservative, I'm a Christian, and quite frankly, I don't really believe in anything Democrats stand for. That doesn't mean I'm unwilling to hear what they have to say. And unfortunately, we can't say the same thing for Democrats. They're unwilling to hear what conservatives have to say. They're unwilling to understand it. They would rather continue to go down this path of being radicalized, which has led to an increased amount of violence, soft on crime policies, and now they have placed their allegiance for illegal aliens over American citizens. And so my hope here is that our show is a great example of encouraging people to not go down that road.
Democrats are attempting a poor man's MAGA. The left thinks the way out of their electoral slump is by jacking Trump's style in Twitter prose. Axios is chronicling the, quote, rising Democratic MAGA movement. Democrats are tired of looking and feeling like chumps. They want to brawl politically and verbally. Gavin Newsom thinks he's clever by having his staffers do his dirty work, crank out knockoff Trump-style all-caps rants and memes. They claim conservatives don't get the joke, but we do. We just think you look like a tool.
Answers for the supposed fake media about California's beautiful, big, beautiful maps. People are saying that we're the greatest maps. They're just saying this. They are.
So clearly there's something wrong with Gavin Newsom. He's almost getting off on doing this. I mean, think about it. You'd think he'd get off on actually fixing the homelessness issue or fixing the high-speed rail or the highways or the cost of living in California or the quality of education. I mean, he's not concerned with any of that. It really is sad, and I believe he's doing the devil's work. Now, this takes us to our second story of today, because I think these issues with the Democrat Party has been existing for quite some time. MSDNC is ringing the alarm because voter registration data has come in, and it tells a shocking story of where the party truly is at. Take a listen.
A pretty devastating conclusion for Democrats from a new and comprehensive analysis of voter registration data by the New York Times. Quote, the Democratic Party is hemorrhaging voters long before they even go to the polls. Between the 2020 and 2024 elections, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in all 30 states that actually track voter registration by political party, along with Washington, D.C. While Democrats lost about 2.1 million registered voters, Republicans gained 2.4 million. That's a swing of 4.5 million registrations. The analysis, which used voter registration data compiled by the nonpartisan data firm L2, also showed the stampede away from the Democratic Party is occurring in battleground states, the bluest states, and the reddest states.
Now, the shocking thing about this report from the New York Times, out of all people, by the way, is this particular quote. Of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every single one of them. Think about that. We're talking about battleground states. Let me show you what that actually looks like. Pennsylvania is one, North Carolina is another, Arizona and Nevada. That is just crucial. But listen, Democrats are still in denial, okay, because their identity is all about President Trump. They can't get past that. Let me just show you an example of what denial truly looks like.
I mean, you can talk about COVID, but there are two factors in this analysis. What they showed was happening here. Let me do the first one, right? Many voters are choosing to be political independents by not registering with either major party, but of the people who do choose between the two main parties, the Democratic share has been cratering. Yeah. I mean, can you just blame that on the pandemic?
No, it's also, listen, the party has failed to really engage with men. That is a failure of the party. The party has also failed to
so let me get to the point two.
Okay.
Number two, the steepest declines in registration are among men and younger voters.
It makes sense. Fix it? No, it makes perfect sense. Look, I think Democrats have kind of become the party of the snowflake in a way that doesn't resonate with a lot of guys in terms of the way that we communicate with each other and talk And so Republicans have seized that. But they're frauds. Republicans have done everything that sort of opposes the working class in America. Democrats just have to talk about these things differently and engage and not take men for granted, which to some capacity has happened.
How long have you been coming on this show?
Forever.
Yeah. And have you been saying that forever?
I know, listen, we're turning a tanker. It takes a little bit of time, but it's coming.
Okay.
I think the party gets it. The party gets that it has failed to communicate with men properly. The party gets that it has taken certain groups, black voters and others, for granted. I think that has been acknowledged, but it takes a while to fix it.
So essentially, he doesn't understand the problem. And I've been saying this since President Trump stepped in the White House again for the second time, is that he's a freight train. There's no way you're going to stop what he's doing right now. And the more you try to fight against him, the more you're going to lose. Okay? Meaning Democrats are caught in this never-ending cycle of fighting existing reality, which is really impossible if you think about it. Instead of just creating a new identity, a new party, they just can't help themselves. And what's going to happen here, and what we're already witnessing as a result, a vacuum must be filled. And that vacuum is going to be filled by these far left lunatic progressive hacks like a Zohran Mamdani out of New York City, like a AOC, who's going to rise in her authority and leadership level within Congress. There's no question about it. Because the thing that they have that someone like Gavin Newsom doesn't have or Hakeem Jeffries doesn't have is authenticity.
I do think it's collapsed because by any classical definition, Mark, they lost the 2024 popular vote, the Electoral College vote. They don't have the Congress. They don't have the White House. They don't have the Supreme Court. They're 30-70 on the 30 side of all these issues, from crime, the environment, energy, the border, illegal immigration. And they're frustrated. They're angry because now Donald Trump is doing something they never imagined anybody would do. He's not treating the symptoms of the progressive pathology. He's talking about the sources. So he's going after the institutions that indoctrinate people in the university, NPR, PBS, the elite law firms, and that's setting them on fire, because they understand that they always exercise power irrelevant of whether they actually had political power. They had cultural, social influence through these institutions, foundations, the university, K through 12, corporate boardrooms. And now when he went after woke and ESG and PBS, it's a whole new counter-revolution, and they're melting down. I don't even think there is a Democratic Party right now. It's just an amalgamation of a bunch of different groups, but they're all way to the left. And we shouldn't fool ourselves about New York, Mark. I think it's not going to be, they may win, Mamdani may win, but he couldn't win anywhere else, I don't think, other than these blue cities. And that's a minority of the population. So they're going over the cliff, and like any addict, they would rather go over the cliff than quit.
Yeah, that is just beautifully said by Victor. It actually takes us to our next story because it's a prime example of Democrats doing just that. But it's the media in particular. So MSDNC decided to run this story, breaking news, that the FBI is now going to prioritize violent crime. Take a look.
According to our MSNBC exclusive reporting, his priorities are raising concerns in and out of the Bureau that with a new focus on violent crime, other FBI priorities like national security, white-collar fraud, and cybercrime could get less attention. MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. Ken, what are your FBI sources telling you about how this change could impact Americans and what they expect from the FBI?
Well, Ali, they're concerned that what has been the FBI's #1 mission since 9/11, which is preventing a terrorist attack on the United States, that is falling by the wayside amid this rhetoric. You heard him say, let cops be cops. FBI agents are not generally cops. They don't consider themselves cops. Often they are lawyers and accountants. They're investigators, and they do work on violent crime, but their priorities for generations, they've had other priorities ahead of that, including the national security priorities, not only stopping terrorist attacks, but fighting, for example, Chinese espionage, cybercrime, and then there's the whole gamut of sort of white-collar crime, public corruption, fraud. All of that now is getting less attention because Patel has essentially made a series of changes where he's ordering that all agents be spending some time on violent crime as well as immigration enforcement. Last week, there was a call in which it was announced that all FBI agents would be equipped with tasers. Now, that sounds like no big deal because a lot of police officers have tasers, but that is not what FBI agents do. They don't patrol the streets, right? And so that sent a message to a lot of my sources. Wow, things are really changing here and not for the good.
Yeah, you'd have to replay that part to truly believe what they're saying here. That they are taken aback because the FBI is going to make violent crime a priority, knowing that violent crime has been up in our country. I just find it interesting, you know. Last time I checked, the FBI under Biden was more concerned with raiding a former president's home than they were with violent crime and terrorist attacks. But hey, here are the stats so far for Washington, D.C. over the past 7 days. So we know if FBI can provide resources and their expertise on cracking down on violent crime, I'm sure the local police department will take it.
What evidence do you have that the DOJ has? Are you going to be releasing it?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to be releasing evidence of this?
Of what? The DC has a terrible crime problem? You just got to look around. Obviously, DC has a terrible crime problem. The Department of Justice statistics back it up. The FBI statistics back it up. Just talk to a resident of this city, this beautiful, great American city. Don't they deserve... we talk about human rights. We hear these people outside screaming, free DC. Let's free DC from lawlessness. Let's free Washington, D.C. from one of the highest murder rates in the entire world. Let's free Washington, D.C. so that young families can walk around and feel safe and secure. That's what we're trying to free D.C. from. And as Stephen said, it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old, primarily white people who are out there protesting the policies that keep people safe when they've never felt danger in their entire lives.
Now, did you notice that the vice president used the word white people in his statement? That means he knows exactly what's going on. He's politically aware, meaning what? The people protesting in D.C. are not the African Americans who live there, by the way. They have a job. They go to work every day. It's funny how black people are not protesting this. It's white people that are doing it. And these are people who are not even from D.C. Now, of course, if you go to D.C., you could find someone who disagrees with this. No question about it. But overwhelmingly, black people are good on this. They want safer streets, too. And to prove it to you, take a look at this clip. Yeah, so it seems to me that the youth, particularly black children, are hanging out with National Guard troops. Now, you tell me what's wrong with that. I think I'd rather them hang out with National Guard troops than play video games or get caught up in a shootout or caught up in crime because they're in the wrong place. And that's the interesting thing about what Democrats are getting wrong here. The optics on this just rebukes everything that they're screaming about. Even Wolf Blitzer from CNN said this. This is what I saw when I drove by Washington, D.C.'s Union Station this morning. Right, National Guard troops. No crime, no homelessness. Okay, nobody tagging up the place. Right? Law and order equals peace. But that's not what Democrats want, especially Democrats from California.
But do you think that your colleagues in the Senate Democrats, should refuse to fund the government? That deadline is coming up at the end of September. Should they refuse to vote on these spending bills using that leverage until they see President Trump reverse deploying troops in the streets of D.C.?
Yes. I mean, first, that should be on the table. And I don't think we should be ruling that out. I think that Democrats in the Senate, the House, I mean, all of us should be united in using everything that we can do and all of our power to stop what Trump is doing right now, not just in D.C., but across the country. So absolutely, that should be on the table.
Okay, let's make sure you understand their position. According to Representative Garcia out of California, he would rather shut down the government than allow President Trump to keep the streets safe in D.C. That's exactly what he is saying. And that's exactly what the mindset is of Democrats. And so they can continue to argue this and fight this and scream about this, but it's bad politics. I'm showing you right now in those videos, in those photos. I mean, that's the reality. It's not the black people out there protesting who live in DC. Okay, so let me just show you this other clip, because in DC, you also have ICE who are continuing to do their job properly. And this next clip has been going viral because the illegal migrant not only was caught, but he started to cry and scream. And as usual, what happens with Democrats, when they see someone crying and screaming, they automatically think they are the victim. Take a look at this.
Yo no tengo nada, señor. Señor. Yo no, por favor. Yo no debo nada, papi. Yo no debo nada. 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 Yo estoy trabajando. Yo no debo nada. 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 Yo trabajo. Yo quiero estar con mi familia. Yo quiero estar con mi familia. Yo vengo de trabajar. Por favor. Yo vengo de trabajar. Yo quiero estar con mi familia. Yo no soy criminal.
See, that clip represents the fundamental issue surrounding this debate on mass deportation. One side believes it's inhumane, shouldn't happen. The other side believes it should happen. Do not believe anything that you hear and only half of what you see. That is a concept that Democrats lack. When they see something on social media, like a guy like that crying because he's being dragged down to the ground and being arrested, they think the law enforcement is doing something wrong. They automatically think ICE is doing something wrong. They refuse to do the research. Research would tell you that this guy was already arrested for sexual battery for a minor under the age of 13 years old. Pedophile, people, yes. And entered our country illegally 3 times and has an official final removal order. And he's from Mexico. But hey, he's just trying to earn an honest living, right? All right, so let's hear from you guys in the comment section below, starting with I would say the stunning embarrassment of Gavin Newsom, okay? Not only is the party in shambles, his approval rating is in shambles. People are already calling out his obsession on social media, trying to mock the president. He's forgotten about the state of California. Bed Bath & Beyond, yes, they did go bankrupt, but they're making a comeback, opening 300 stores, and they skipped the state of California. I think we know what's happening with Gavin Newsom, and it isn't going to work. Let me know if you guys agree with what we had to say about him. And do you believe his strategy is actually going to work? Just give me your thoughts about everything we discussed in this video in the comment section below. Now, in our next video, the president has made it known that he seeks to get rid of mail-in ballots. And of course, this prompted a huge backlash from Democrats, but there's only one problem. Currently, there are Democrats being prosecuted for stealing an election by stuffing ballot boxes with forged absentee ballots. Yes, that is a story, and we're going to show it to you. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.